Hey, everybody. I'm breaking my business model a little bit here. Normally, when I do interviews, I put the first half up on YouTube and Rumble, and then I put the second half behind a very low paywall on my Substack, HeymanNature .substack.com. It's only $5 a month, and you also get a bunch of articles I write every day, every weekday. But the response I got from Jeremy's first half of the interview was so positive, so tremendous. People really love the neighborhood and they love Jeremy himself. So I felt like I needed to share the second half of this interview with everybody because honestly, the second half was even better than the first, and the first half was pretty great. So please, without further ado, enjoy part two of my interview with Jeremy Freedman from the Neighborhood.
If you don't know by now, I don't really do good with bullshit chit chat.
Yeah, I think
So the heavier you go, probably the better.
I think the world likes bullshit. I mean, likes
The world
like
does like bullshit. I know.
Heyman Nature, a journey in search of a peaceful and prosperous society with human nature as a guide. Led by your host, Adam Heyman.
Hello and welcome to Heyman Nature, the bonus interview with Jeremy Freedman of the Neighborhood. Hey, Jer.
Hello.
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 So let me start right off with a lame question. You were so
Sure.
young when you started. How did you get into music? When did you learn how to play a guitar? It just seems crazy to me.
Yeah.
Especially when
So
I know your home life from back then. How the hell did you learn anything?
yeah. So I was classically bad at everything I did, and didn't really have an interest in anything. Really, like sports or school. Just terrible at everything. And then one Christmas, my cousin had gotten a guitar when I think I was like 10.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, she's 10 to the day, as old as I am. We were born on the same day. So for Christmas when we were 10, she had gotten a guitar. And I remember, I don't know, there's something like I must have seen a guitar before, obviously, but this one was like glowing. It was like the scene in Pulp Fiction when it's like
Yeah.
gold in the briefcase. It was like that moment. And I remember like, Mom, I really want a guitar. And she was like really nonchalant about it. She's like, okay, cool. I'll get you a guitar. She's probably like desperate for me to find something that I'm really passionate in. So yeah, I started playing guitar, and it was one of the first times in my life where like it just made sense, and like I could teach myself this thing, like I didn't really do lessons, and just like was pretty much already writing music, not like writing songs or anything, but writing riffs and playing and learning chords and all that stuff for I think like 6 months. And then I started doing lessons for about 3 months. And as soon as I learned how to do ear training, I couldn't be bothered to run scales anymore. So I quit. And then, yeah, it was kind of, I think you were probably alluding to like a chaotic home life with how did I learn how to do anything.
I'm
Just
just
a bit
asking
chaotic.
open-ended questions, Jeremy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, allow me to talk about my chaotic home life then. Uh we yeah, it was a bit crazy, and I think looking back on it now, it was probably a little escape slash meditation where I could sink into how I was feeling and get in touch with it. And I would just sit and play guitar in my room for like 5 hours. And it was so much my own thing that I didn't want anyone to be a part of, like a little meditation. Like when I'd hear my mom like mute the TV from down the hall to listen to me play, I would stop playing. Because like this is mine. This is not to be shared.
That's awesome.
So yeah, self-taught, really young, gold guitar. That's my story.
Now, in my version of the story, you immediately pick up the guitar and start to play the little guitar part from what I know to be your very favorite song in the entire universe.
Which is
You don't know your very favorite song in the entire universe, at least when you were 4?
How Bizarre. How Bizarre.
That's the that's the one. So in my version of the story, you pick up that guitar and it's ding 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 ding.
Yeah.
ding,
Well,
ding.
everyone has their own story because my mom thinks that because I was really good at Guitar Hero, she's like, he just loved Guitar Hero so much that he was like, let me be really good at guitar too. And she just
That's her
floated that
story.
story for 10 years. And I'm
That's
like,
her story.
Mom, I was playing guitar for like 2 years before Guitar Hero came out.
Yeah, that was a weird one. She led with that. I thought it was true, and then
She checked out for quite a bit. Yeah.
Before this interview, I decided to look into the history of OMC. That's the band name, by the way, of the
New
hit
Zealand
song.
New Zealand lad.
New Zealand guy, and I don't know. This might have been some weird soul transference business because that guy had a horrible life and a tragic career involving
Oh yeah.
gangs and
Mhm.
horrible business dealings, and he died at the early age of 40 in 2010, right before you guys
Wow.
knocked it big.
Yeah, yeah, I got the soul of OMC now.
Yeah,
The
all that OMC how bizarre juice went into sweater weather, maybe.
the the legend that every New Zealander knows every New Zealander it lives on in this because our manager's a New Zealander and he knew our producer who's a New Zealander, and I remember when we were like 18 talking to him about How Bizarre, he had told me everything you just said because he actually knew that guy. He's like, oh, that guy is really gnarly.
Yeah, I had to look it up. Yeah, in my
Yeah.
mind, Auckland is like Mayberry,
Mhm.
maybe 200 people, and the whole couple islands is probably about 1,000 people, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, and like everyone knows each other. You know that guy Zane Lowe, also New Zealander.
Oh, really?
Yeah, kind of our. It's really odd that our hub, like day one team, was all from New Zealand.
That's really weird.
Yeah,
And then you hit fire in the UK real early, and then also fairly early. You guys got really big, like in South America, right? What's going on there? Do you have any explanation for how that happened, or?
I don't know. I think the Latin, like South America, has just a love for kind of emo pop rock stuff, like Interpol, really big there. That kind of dark, moody Lana Del Rey adjacent stuff really works in Brazil and place like that. But maybe there's also the fact that it is such a bitch to get there from like LA or New York, and it's kind of dangerous as well. It takes a
Sure.
lot of money to get there. So people don't go there a lot. So maybe they like when people do get there, it's like such a big deal for them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Like so we were told you can't really drive a bus from place to place in certain parts in South America because it's just dangerous. People just run up on your bus and rob you. So it's like you just got to fly everywhere and really expensive with a 13-person crew, you know,
Yeah, that'll
stuff like
keep
that.
people away.
Yeah.
But you guys have sold out some decently sized stadiums. Didn't you do a big show in like Mexico City or something like that too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what is it? Corona Capital. I think it's like 10,000 people. I think I'm getting the names right. I'm so bad at this stuff, man. With like this memory.
Well, I think that's pretty standard for performers. You're just, hello, Detroit. You don't know where.
Oh
you're at.
yeah. There's one city where Jesse did one of those. How we feeling, fucking Memphis? And our side stage guy like has a mic that goes into all of our ears. He's like, bro, it's not Memphis, it's like Cincinnati. And then Jesse's like, oh fuck. And then he does it again and then says this a wrong name again. And oh, that was so gnarly. But we're just all laughing.
I'm surprised you didn't lean into it and make it an artistic choice for every performance now.
Oh, he
Just
should have.
just say the wrong. In fact, say the same wrong town.
Right.
Let's make it
Right.
Memphis
It's like
forever or whatever.
Mark Norman, how he says like, "Thank you, I'm Kevin Hart."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he's amazing.
So funny. So I don't know. You've been making music for as long as you've been doing anything productive. Do you have any deep philosophical thoughts about it? What is music?
But making music,
Yeah.
I really like Rick Rubin's approach to art in general. I don't know if you read his book.
Did he do Wildflowers with Tom Petty?
I think so. But he wrote a book recently just about like being an artist. And specifically with music, he's like, the music you make should only be for you. It should be like a diary entry that you're just letting someone read.
That sounds right.
And if they enjoy it, great. But it's really just for you. And I really subscribe to that. Like even in my band, like these guys will say like, I just really want to make music that you guys all like, and I don't resonate with that. I think it's really sweet that they're focused on everyone having a good time, but like I just care about making stuff that I like, and I hope that you guys all like it, but
yeah, I got this theory
it's definitely not top of the list.
I got this theory that the discerning ears will find that coming off as false if you're sort of making it for any other purpose than because this is what's going on with you right now. If you're trying to chase a hit or please your bandmates, even it's just not going to sound like art. It's going to sound like something else, like a church choir or something.
Right. And I think especially when you're young, but I don't even know how you feel now, but like I feel like just to know yourself, to identify your feelings, know how you feel, trust in them, it's hard enough, let alone like being able to know what an amoeba of just of people like they're so, how do you know what people like? Just what you like barely. You definitely don't know what these people like.
Right.
Yeah,
so the only true barometer is the only thing you actually have access to, which is you're making it. What does it sound like to you?
Yeah. So there are people who, for whatever reason, when they want to make a hit, they can do it. And God bless you, Max Martin or Michael Jackson or whatever. But it's like, I just don't have it, But even Michael Jackson, man, like the way he talks, amazing songs. But the way he talks about creativity is like, I guess the same way anything that I make, I want the process to feel like this, which is like, I actually didn't even do it. It was like, you're just receiving ideas. And it's like, I don't know how I know how you feel, but how people feel about God. That's what it feels like, man. It does feel like God's talking to you when it's done right. It feels like.
I am definitely open to that hypothesis. The only thing that bugs me about the Godheads is their certainty that they know everything that's going on. But whether there's a God or not, I definitely think to flourish in this universe, you need to open yourself up to experience the environment that you're in and all its complexity and glory. And people like you and Michael Jackson and Tom Petty, they can turn that into beautiful art. And I would thank God if he exists that such a thing happens.
Same. Yeah. And just the lack of ownership, like when people, maybe even people in my band who are like jealous of other people, it's like, man, it's I feel like the correct way to relate to your own music is actually like, it's not even yours. Well, especially once you release it, it's not yours. It's now it's the world's. But like, even when you're creating it, like to have the relationship of like stroking your own ego and jacking yourself off, like, look how good I am. It's like you're already fucking up. I think it's like
some of the most impressive creative people will get a gleam in their eye and look kind of awestruck, and they'll say, I don't really know where this came from.
And that's the best.
You know,
Yeah.
the classic line is, "I'm just a conduit or something, or a vessel that gets filled up by the muses," and I think they're
Yeah.
talking about something real. Like, when you're in the flow, when you're really creating,
Oh yeah.
I I don't you're not really accessing your ego, that's for darn sure. So you're accessing something else, and I don't know what
Some
it is.
godly part.
Yeah,
And
something.
and and it's like meditation where as soon as you, I don't know if you meditate. Um Actually, I remember you saying like you kind of just don't practice meditation, you like just live that way.
Yeah, I'm really
And
full of myself, but the few times I've
uh-huh.
practiced meditation, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'm like this always. This is
Right.
I'm like a
Well, it's just,
natural."
what is it? It's just present, right?
Yeah,
Um
if you're present, that's meditation.
and whenever I would practice meditation and like, oh wow, I'm actually doing it, I could feel it, you're instantly out. As soon as you
Yep.
like put yourself in there
Yeah,
and
yep.
like label the experience and yeah, and just like put yourself in there, you immediately stop whatever was just happening, whether it's meditation or whatever. The experience is way different. It's like now you're hyper aware and you're thinking about it and judging yourself and double thinking. It's
What, I don't know, what are you working on right now? I know that, the band's been it's not in a hiatus exactly, but you said you're struggling to record. What else are you doing while you're sitting around? Are you working on other
well,
projects or?
um, so a few interesting developments. I produced a few of my friends um in this time when I'm not in a band. Really, it's on hiatus, and we're not writing. This is even before we were thinking about getting back together. I have these friends that I've had for like 10 years or so, and then some are new or whatever, but they're really struggling, and they're great people, um, but they're missing a thing, and I dedicated some time to them to figure out like, okay, this is cool. Let's figure out how to take it to the next level and take out the best in you. So kind of just being a producer to these people and co-writer and co-producer and co-mixer and everything really. And then from that, my manager heard what I had done and then set me up with he runs this like empire manager thing where they manage producers, artists, um, mixers and everything. And he set me up with a manager that manages producers. So now I'm technically a producer who's managed by Bad Habit. So that's pretty new. So they're like sending me artists every now and then to dig in with, and one hasn't stuck where it's like, oh, that we can make something great. But I'm really hoping that something like that comes because I
That's a
think I'd
good
be pretty
space
good
for
at
you.
it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
from the times I've sat around with you just listening to the way you analyze music, I think that'd be like right up your alley. Yeah, you go in deep and say
yeah,
smart things. So
yeah.
did you watch the Academy Awards here this year?
Fuck no.
I was pretty sure I was pretty sure that was going to be your response. Well, I'm
Yeah.
here to give you a piece of information that I don't know, you might have a emotional reaction to. I don't know.
Okay.
But you are famously, in my mind, a Beatles fan, to your
Oh
credit.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And I just kind of curious to know how you feel that Yoko Ono just won an Oscar.
For what?
For making an actually very beautiful animated short, with the theme being the John Lennon song. I think it's "War Is Over." I think that's what it's called. War has
Oh
overcome.
yeah.
It was pretty good.
Well, I will say I think I had a thought probably like the rest of the world before the Get Out documentary came out of who Yoko Ono was. And
No,
it's just so not the case. It's
yeah,
like it's John's binky.
yeah,
John hates being in the Beatles now. He can't not be away from this person. He's so codependent with her that
yeah.
he brings her wherever he goes. Um and it wasn't, Yoko maybe oversteps her boundaries a few times,
Not
but
that
I
bad.
mean,
Not that
not
bad.
that bad, and John was pretty good about putting her in her place when she did. So I don't have this weird thing with Yoko Ono that I might have had just based off of rumors, really. Like I didn't even know what I was talking about with like not
Sure.
liking Yoko, but
Sure. It was a trope.
she's fine. You know, she told like fucking George is. I'm sure you saw the documentary. George is bringing in like these Hare Krishna meditators
That's
sitting
right.
on pillows in the corner. It's like it's just as weird, you know.
That's right. These were weird
But it's also
dudes.
just as cool. It's like it's such a eclectic family, you know.
Yeah, that documentary, Get Out. I'll put a link to it in the notes when this comes out. It is a hell of a documentary.
Dude, and you get to see like these people that I thought were gods among men are they're just dudes.
Yeah, there's
They're-
just dudes, and two things really stood out. One was John and Paul riffing together, looking in each other's eyes and just kind of
Yeah.
grooving. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
the other was the transformation, the creation of the song. I guess it's the title song, right?
Get Out or
Yeah.
Get Back. Sorry.
Yeah, Get Back.
Yeah.
Get Out. It's a Jordan Peele joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was just something so amazing about that process and all that stuff that got recorded. It was great that
Yeah.
finally came out.
And you can literally see, like we were talking about, how like God gives you music, and like you can almost see that process where like he's basically just open jamming this very simple little blues rock thing, and you can almost see it like he's like pulling it out like just one by one. He's like, get back. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Does it
Mhm.
again. It's
Yeah.
so cool to see him like just bored waiting for John.
And
We
then
know
find
the song
something.
Get Back.
Yeah, and finding the little things that really resonate, and then it slowly turns into starting to veer towards the thing we recognize.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
so
it's-
amazing.
Another thing pointed out to me, a few things about that documentary is when John and Paul have the hidden mic conversation with each other.
Right.
And it was so like what I've had to deal with in the band, where I've been both people in that conversation actually. But I'm sure many bands have had that exact conversation where it's like they were kind of talking about like the power shift of John used to be the leader of the band and now it's Paul, and John has a weird thing about it, and also he knows that Paul's a bit sensitive when he gets disagreed with, and it's his way or the highway, and it's like this whole weird really graceful way of having a kind of a heavy conversation. But I've had that exact conversation. It's such a trip. And then also George being such a fucking genius and no one cares.
That's right.
And that sounds so dumb. I felt like that too, where I was like, does no
Poor
one
George.
hear how
He's
good
in the
this
Beatles.
is?
Yeah, he's in the Beatles, and it's like no one's paying attention.
Yeah, he plays this song "I Me Mine," and I'm pretty sure I remember this right. He was playing it for John and Paul. Like I just wrote this last night, and it's this fucking brilliant song. And I'm pretty sure either John or Paul walk away in the
No.
middle of him playing the song, like
Oh no.
wants to go get some tea or something, and then the remaining guys just like, yeah, sounds good, man. Damn, bro, it's just sketch. But
Yeah, well, maybe George was trying to preach the God stuff a little too hard.
ooh,
Yeah, to
lost
put him
my
in his
earbud.
place.
Yeah, he was a bit. Also, the thing about George is like, kind of was just a whiny, pissy guy. And I
Yeah,
felt like that too.
not a great temperament. I mean,
Yeah.
creative genius, but maybe not the best temperament.
Mm-mm.
So I don't know. It's pretty unfair to ask you the following question. So I'm just
Yeah.
going to throw it out there as a thing to think about. I think about human nature on this show an awful lot, and music is such a hardwired thing in us. We evolved to be really desirous of rhythm and melody. I'm sure before we had language, we were probably humming stuff as we went down the path to go chase something and throw a spear in it or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think an awful lot about what music means and just how important it is to us, and dance as well. I think these things are just so hardwired into us, and I'm glad we still have it. I'm glad you make it. I don't know if you ever sit around thinking about the evolution of man and music together or not, but I don't know, something I think about.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with everything you just said. It feels like it does predate language, and it's so. I kind of liken it to Jordan Peterson saying, like, we look at like food and water as a need for life, and kind of don't look at beauty in the same way.
It's a mistake, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of think music and all art is like it's a actual need, both to enjoy it, but to make it. I think there's this weird separation now where there's like artists, and then take your random day job guy who's like, I've never played guitar, I'm not an artist, and all that stuff. But it's like, I think we're all born. This is a Rick Rubin thing. We're all born artists,
Sure.
and it's just an illusion that you're not.
Sure.
And it's just a self-confidence thing and maybe an interest thing, but
It's probably why karaoke became so popular, so it gave
Yeah.
an excuse for Joe Schmo to flex that atrophied artistic muscle,
yeah, and it's also why I have I won't break it out now, but it's this thing called an omnichord that whenever I have, like, say my friend Cole, him and me make music sometimes, and he has this wife who doesn't make music at all, but I break out this omnichord because it's just so easy. It's like all the chords are laid out in buttons,
Oh, nice.
and it's a minor and a major, and I try and include them in, like, just come on, like, it's just fun, like, partake in this
Oh,
little
that's so cool.
jam thing.
A few years ago, Jennifer and I went to a friend's birthday party in Colorado, stayed at a Airbnb, almost ski chalet type joint. Anyway,
Yeah.
these are just musical people, and they made it a point every night to break out piano, drums, and just encouraged all of us to just join in on this little jam session.
Yeah.
And it was cool. We all did it. We all made music, and it was I don't know, there might be alcohol involved, but I had a great time, and it was nice.
For sure.
It was just nice to
Did
feel
you
like
feel did you feel like and I would probably guess not, but because you kind of liken it to like a baby who doesn't know how to speak English, makes sounds, but you're not communicating with each other. But when you really get good at music with people, it's like you get to have like this really deep conversation with each other.
sure.
Did you feel like you were kind of there where you're
Well,
like
yeah, because I
talking
felt
to each
like
other?
I was I felt like a novice, not a rank beginner, because I'm into percussion. I'm always, everything around me is a couple of drums when I'm bored.
Right.
So I don't know. I
Right.
was getting into it,
Yeah.
I think we were communicating with each other, and it was me
Yeah.
usually on the bongos or the drum kit or something. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I
There's
think
this. Sorry,
no, go
I
ahead,
had too
dude.
much coffee.
Yeah, I think
Too much coffee. Too many zins.
I think there is a language there, and I don't know what you're expressing. Maybe it's not concepts, maybe it's just emotions, but yeah, I think there's definitely some wisdom. I don't know if our evolutionary scientists have dug deep into it. Probably they have. I haven't read enough books, but
Yeah.
our heartbeat is a rhythm.
I
And
do
every
know
time
that.
we walk and every time we run, that's rhythm, that's rhythm, that's rhythm. And then, maybe your thoughts are the melody or something. I don't know. But I think music is intrinsic to us as our lungs. So
Yeah, I do. I heard this thing why the typical pop song is at 120 beats per minute, and that's double what your heartbeat beats at 60 beats per minute.
mm-hmm.
So just the resting body at 60 beats per minute just like syncs up with pop. I heard that
How
I like
much
that theory.
what's your heart
It's a good
rate
theory.
at when you're dancing to it?
Probably a lot faster than 60.
Yeah, but
Probably.
is it over 120 or?
Well, you'd have to be fucking
Guess it depends on the
cutting a
person.
rug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You find me a
I don't know
fat
if you
enough
measure your
dude.
heartbeat, but 120 is
Yeah, that's pretty high.
pretty moderate. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess it gets up to 130 when I'm really stressing it out. Yeah, and there might be something to that. The fact that it's divisible is what you mean, 120 and 60. There's probably something to that.
Yeah. 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 But really, I don't know. I would say I was pretty late in developing good communication skills, and not saying like I got them now, but I'm definitely better than I was when I was like almost mute when I just didn't really like talk a lot. Definitely not about like my feelings and stuff.
Well,
But
just in the time since we've reconnected, you're quite a bit more expressive.
yeah, that might be thanks to my therapist. But really, my like connection to myself, but also to others, was really in music. Like especially when you're 16 and you don't want to say something because your friends are gonna be like, "Shut up, don't be gay." It's like
That's how
you
we
could
do.
really you could, and that's great. But like you can really put in that heaviness you can express that heaviness or whatever it is through music.
Sure.
And especially when you could do it with someone else and they see you and they feel you and they respond in a way, and it's like, yeah, it's amazing. And
That's probably why
I
young people respond to music so strongly, because it lets
oh
them express things they're feeling so strongly. Because you know how it is when you're that age.
oh yeah,
No words that you could ever generate are powerful enough to explain what you feel, but music sure does.
yeah, I do. Do you feel like, I know you've talked a little bit about your childhood, but just in the way of like being able to feel things so intensely when you're young,
Yeah.
I do miss that. I do miss, like, even if it would, like, a thing could make or break you, um, and you're kind of fragile and all that stuff, but like just being able to feel things and be open, I do miss that. And I always think about Jordan Peterson talking about uh, creativity spikes alongside with violent crime or something. So it's like if you want to, I don't know what point he was really making, but he said that creativity spikes at like 27, then it's a slow decrease. And specifically with feeling music and being present for it and like really letting it consume me, I haven't really felt like I did back when I was probably like early 20s. I was like obsessed with music and I felt it so deeply. And now it's kind of like I'll put it down and play some video games. I don't really care. I'm not obsessed with it. It doesn't consume me. And that does freak me out then.
So, if I'm hearing you right, you're saying you want you and me to go rob 2 or 3 liquor stores and then like write an album. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just be stupid idiot kids again. Go I don't know. Go steal a Snickers bar and feel like an
Well,
idiot. Egg a car.
I don't know how to make it happen, but I do think you can create that fire within you, even that you had when you were young and poor and freaked out and feeling everything so deeply. You can create that now. It's just it
Oh, I
takes
think so.
more focus. You gotta plan to do that.
Yes, and I think being insecure and being uncomfortable is probably a necessary ingredient. Because, like, what are you when you're 16 if you're not insecure and uncomfortable?
Yep.
And unsure, and you're such a student. Even though you have like that young I know it all thing, it's like you're like your brain's not even fully developed, first of all, and like you're learning weird things every day. But yeah, and my bar is pretty low because I just sit in my garage and play video games all day. So going for a walk is like, whoa, this life is crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But maybe all you
Just
need
need
to
to
do then is steal a muffin from the local Starbucks, and then
Yeah,
you
just feel a little alive.
feel alive. Well, thanks so much for coming on, and brother, I love you.
Love you too, man. Yeah, anytime. If we want to do this again,
Sure.
I'm more than happy to, man. For sure.
Awesome. I appreciate it. All right, folks. Well, that was Jeremy Freedman of the Neighborhood. Thanks for watching.
Bye bye.